In the heart of the kingdom, beyond the bustling villages, sparkling rivers, and towering mountains, there was a mystical forest known as the Wishing Woods. It was a place of wonder and legend, a forest shrouded in mist and filled with trees that towered high into the sky, their leaves shimmering with magic. The Wishing Woods was not like any other forest. The trees here could whisper, and it was said that those whispers carried wishes. Long ago, it was believed that a single, ancient tree, the Whispering Tree, stood at the very heart of the Wishing Woods. This tree was unlike any other. Its trunk was wide and gnarled, its bark silver with age, and its branches stretched out in all directions, holding the sky in its embrace. It was said that if one stood beneath the tree during the quiet of the night, they could hear the whispers of their deepest desires, their dreams, and their future wishes. But the tree was no ordinary wish-granter. It could only speak to those who truly needed it, those whose hearts were pure and whose intentions were selfless. The path to the tree was never easy to find, and many who ventured into the woods with selfish desires never returned. Only the brave, the kind-hearted, and the hopeful could find their way to the heart of the Wishing Woods and receive the blessing of the Whispering Tree. Part 2: The Girl Who Dreamed of Magic. In a small, quiet village at the edge of the Wishing Woods, there lived a young girl named Aurelia. Aurelia was like most children in the village, curious, adventurous, and filled with dreams. But there was one thing that set her apart from the others: she believed in magic. While other children played in the fields or helped their families, Aurelia spent most of her days sitting by the edge of the Wishing Woods, watching the trees sway in the wind and listening closely for any sounds of magic. She had heard the stories about the Whispering Tree all her life. Her grandmother had told her tales of the tree's ability to grant wishes, and her father had once spoken of a time when the tree had blessed the village with bountiful harvests. But no one had ever seen the tree itself. It remained hidden in the heart of the woods, its magic a mystery. Aurelia's greatest wish was simple: she longed for adventure. She dreamed of exploring the depths of the forest, discovering its secrets, and finding the Whispering Tree. But there was one thing that kept her from pursuing her dream: fear. The Wishing Woods were vast and dark, filled with unknown dangers. The villagers often warned children not to venture too deep into the forest, for many who did were never seen again. But Aurelia's heart was full of hope. She believed that if the Whispering Tree was real, it could help her find the adventure she so desperately sought. She had no idea, however, that her wish would soon lead her on a journey that would change her life forever. Part 3: The Call of the Forest. One evening, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, Aurelia stood at the edge of the Wishing Woods, gazing into the forest's depths. The trees seemed to shimmer in the fading light, their leaves dancing in the wind. She could feel the magic in the air, almost as if the forest itself was calling to her. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her mind, warning her about the dangers of the woods. "The forest speaks to those who are pure of heart," she had said, "but it can be treacherous to those who venture without caution." Aurelia hesitated for a moment but then stepped forward, her heart racing with anticipation. She knew that her heart was pure, and she felt a deep sense of wonder and curiosity that could not be ignored. With each step deeper into the woods, the whispers grew louder, faint but melodic, as though the trees were speaking directly to her. Suddenly, she stopped. In front of her stood a tall, ancient tree with silver bark that seemed to glow in the dim light. Aurelia's breath caught in her throat. She had found it, the Whispering Tree. The tree's bark was etched with intricate patterns, and its leaves shimmered with a soft, ethereal light. Aurelia stepped closer, feeling the air grow thick with magic. She placed her hand gently on the tree's trunk and closed her eyes, listening intently. The whispers grew clearer, and to her amazement, the tree began to speak directly to her. "You have come, young one," the voice said, deep and ancient, like the wind through the branches. "What is it that you seek?" Aurelia's heart fluttered. This was the moment she had dreamed of. She took a deep breath and spoke, her voice steady but full of wonder. "I seek adventure," she said. "I want to explore the world, to see places I have never seen and experience the magic of the world beyond my village. I wish to know what lies beyond the Wishing Woods." The tree was silent for a moment, and Aurelia felt a sense of uncertainty wash over her. Had she asked for too much? Would the tree grant her wish? "You wish for adventure," the tree finally whispered. "But know this, True adventure does not come without challenge. You must be willing to face your fears and embrace the unknown. Only then will your wish be granted. Aurelia's heart raced with excitement. She nodded, her determination growing stronger. I am ready, she said. I will face whatever challenges come my way. The tree's branches swayed gently in the wind, and the whispers grew softer. Very well, the tree said. Your journey begins now. With that, the tree's leaves rustled, and a single silver leaf floated down, landing in Aurelia's outstretched hand. It glowed softly in her palm, warm and alive with magic. The leaf was the key to her adventure, the beginning of her journey into the unknown. Aurelia held the leaf tightly, her heart filled with both excitement and trepidation. She knew that her life was about to change forever. She was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Part 4. Into the heart of the woods. As Aurelia journeyed deeper into the wishing woods, the path before her grew darker and more mysterious. The trees seemed to close in around her, their branches twisting and turning like arms reaching out to guide her forward. The whispers grew louder, but they were no longer comforting. Now, they seemed to be testing her resolve, urging her to press on. With each step, the air grew thicker, and the forest seemed to come alive with magic. The ground beneath her feet pulsed with an energy she had never felt before. Aurelia could feel the magic of the forest all around her, and for the first time in her life, she felt as though she were truly part of something bigger than herself. But with the magic came danger. As she ventured deeper into the woods, she encountered strange creatures, shadowy figures that lurked in the corners of her vision, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. They seemed to follow her, watching her every move. Aurelia's heart raced, but she refused to turn back. She had made her wish, and she was determined to see it through. She came across a stream that cut through the woods, its waters dark and still. The whispers from the trees seemed to become more frantic, urging her to cross the stream, but something about the water made her hesitate. The current was strong, and the water seemed to call to her in a strange, almost hypnotic way. But Aurelia was not afraid. She stepped into the water, her feet slipping on the smooth stones beneath the surface. As she crossed the stream, she felt a strange sensation, as though the water itself was testing her resolve. With each step, the water seemed to grow colder, but she pressed on. When she reached the other side, she turned and looked back at the stream. The water was still, but now it seemed to shimmer with an ethereal glow, as if it were alive with magic. The whispers grew softer, and the trees seemed to sway in approval. Aurelia smiled to herself. She had faced her first challenge, and she had overcome it. She was one step closer to her adventure, and the path before her seemed a little less daunting. Part 5. The Heart of the Wishing Woods. As the days passed, Aurelia traveled deeper into the wishing woods, encountering strange creatures and overcoming countless obstacles. She crossed ravines, climbed towering cliffs, and navigated through labyrinthine thickets. Each challenge she faced tested her courage and her determination, but with each trial, she grew stronger. One evening, as the moon rose high in the sky, Aurelia reached the heart of the wishing woods. The trees here were ancient, their trunks thick with age, and the air was thick with magic. At the center of this sacred grove stood a large stone altar, its surface covered in moss and vines. The air was still, and Aurelia could feel the magic pulsing through the ground beneath her feet. She knew that this was where her journey would come to its final test. As she approached the altar, the whispers from the trees grew louder, filling her mind with thoughts of doubt and fear. But Aurelia was not afraid. She had come this far, and she would not let fear stop her now. At the altar, she placed the silver leaf that the whispering tree had given her. The moment she did, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble, and the trees around her seemed to come alive, their branches reaching toward the sky in a grand display of magic. The voice of the whispering tree filled her ears once more. "You have proven your courage, young one," it said. "You have faced your fears and embraced the unknown. Your wish for adventure is granted." Suddenly, the sky above her lit up with 1,000 stars, each one shining brightly as if to guide her on her journey. The trees around her whispered in a language she couldn't understand, but their meaning was clear. Aurelia had found her adventure, and the magic of the wishing woods had given her the key to a world beyond her wildest dreams. Part 6. The Silver Path. After the whispering tree granted Aurelia her wish for adventure, the forest seemed to shift before her eyes. The path that had once been unclear now gleamed with a soft, silvery light. It was as if the forest itself was opening a way for her, a path that led to something even greater than she could imagine. Aurelia followed the shimmering trail, each step filled with a sense of anticipation. The trees seemed to guide her, their branches swaying gently, their leaves whispering encouragement. She could hear the distant calls of creatures she had never heard before, and the air was thick with magic. She felt as though she were stepping into a world that had always existed just beyond the veil of her imagination. The path stretched out before her, winding through the forest and into a dense mist. The further she walked, the more the world around her transformed. The trees grew taller, their trunks silver and gleaming, their leaves tinged with gold. The air became crisp and cool, and Aurelia could hear the soft rustling of unseen creatures in the underbrush. As she continued along the silver path, the whispers of the trees became clearer, guiding her toward a destination she could not yet see. Part 7. The Enchanted River. After days of walking, Aurelia reached a vast river that blocked her path. Its waters were not like any river she had ever seen, they shimmered with an iridescent glow, their surface rippling with colors that shifted and changed like the colors of the dawn. The river seemed to stretch endlessly in both directions, and no bridge or path appeared to cross it. Aurelia approached the edge of the river and knelt down, gazing into the depths. As she looked, she saw visions of distant lands, cities of light, towering mountains, and vast deserts stretching to the horizon. She saw people and creatures, some familiar and some strange, all of them going about their lives in a world that was both alien and familiar. A voice echoed from the river, low and melodic, as if the water itself was speaking. "Only those who can see beyond the surface can pass," the river said. "What lies beneath the surface of this river is not always as it seems. What do you seek, traveler?" Aurelia stood back, contemplating the voice. She had heard stories of enchanted rivers, but she never imagined she would encounter one herself. The voice seemed to be testing her, asking her not just to cross the river, but to understand it. "I seek knowledge," Aurelia replied, "and the truth about my journey." The river's surface shimmered in response, and for a moment, Aurelia thought she saw something moving beneath the water, something large and shadowy, like the shape of a great serpent. Her heart skipped a beat, but she remained calm. "If you seek knowledge, you must trust what lies beneath," the river intoned. Without hesitation, Aurelia stepped into the river. The water felt cool and smooth, swirling around her ankles, then her knees, and then higher as she waded deeper. As she moved forward, the river's surface began to glow brighter, and the images of distant lands grew clearer in her mind's eye. She could see not only the lands she had already glimpsed, but also flashes of her own future, her adventures, her growth, and the challenges she would face along the way. Aurelia pressed on, determined to cross the river and continue her journey. With each step, the water grew deeper, but she felt an overwhelming sense of calm. She was no longer just a traveler, she was part of the river, part of the magic that flowed through it. When she finally reached the other side, she felt different, more attuned to the world around her, more aware of the magic that connected everything. Part 8. The Lost City of Light. On the other side of the river, Aurelia found herself in a strange, forgotten land. The trees here were unlike any she had seen before, their trunks twisting into intricate shapes, their branches forming vast canopies of light that shimmered like stars in the night sky. The ground beneath her feet was covered in soft moss, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers she had never encountered. In the distance, towering spires rose into the sky, tall, elegant structures that seemed to be made of light itself. Aurelia had read stories of such places, ancient cities that had once been the heart of powerful kingdoms, but she had never believed they were real. Yet here she stood, on the edge of the lost city of light. Aurelia stepped forward, drawn to the city by an unexplainable force. As she entered the city, she was amazed to see that it was filled with life. Strange creatures, beings of light and shadow, walked the streets, some human-like and others entirely alien. They moved with grace and purpose, as if they had lived here for centuries. She approached one of the creatures, a tall figure with glowing eyes and skin that shimmered like starlight. It turned to her, its expression warm and welcoming. "Welcome, traveler," the creature said, its voice melodious and soft. "You have come to the city of light. What is it that you seek?" Aurelia was taken aback. She had never expected to find a place like this, nor had she anticipated being greeted by such a being. Still, her purpose was clear. "I seek wisdom," she said, her voice steady. "I seek to understand my path and the magic that lies ahead." The creature nodded, as if it had known she would say that. "Wisdom is not found easily," it said. "But you will find what you seek, if you are willing to look beyond what you know. Follow the path of light, and you will learn the truths you desire." Aurelia nodded, feeling a sense of determination. She had come this far, and she would not turn back now. Part 9. The Test of the Heart. As Aurelia explored the city, she was drawn to a grand hall at the center of the city. Inside, the walls were covered in intricate carvings that told the stories of ancient civilizations and magical beings. The ceiling was adorned with glowing crystals that bathed the room in soft, radiant light. At the center of the hall stood a large pedestal, upon which rested a crystal orb. The orb pulsed with light, and as Aurelia approached, she felt an overwhelming sense of both awe and fear. "This is the test of the heart," a voice echoed, and Aurelia turned to see the creature from earlier standing behind her. "Place your hand on the orb, and it will show you the truth of your heart." Aurelia hesitated. She had faced many challenges already, but this test seemed different. It would reveal something deep within her, something she may not be ready to confront. But she knew she had to face it. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hand on the orb. Instantly, visions flooded her mind, her fears, her desires, her dreams. She saw her past, her journey through the wishing woods, and the choices she had made along the way. But she also saw something else, a shadow, a part of herself that she had hidden away. The orb glowed brighter as it revealed this shadow, her fear of failure, her doubts about her worth, her struggle with being alone in the world. Aurelia felt a surge of emotion, but she did not look away. She knew that to grow, she had to face her fears head-on. The light of the orb slowly faded, and Aurelia found herself standing in the hall once more. She felt different, stronger, more aware of her own heart and the journey that lay ahead. Part 10. The Return. Having passed the test of the heart, Aurelia was granted the wisdom she had sought. The lost city of light began to fade, its magic woven into her very being. The creatures of the city bid her farewell, and the path to the wishing woods opened once more. As Aurelia made her way back, she felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Her adventure had changed her. She was no longer just a girl seeking magic. She was someone who had discovered the power within herself to face challenges, to grow, and to understand the true nature of her journey. When she returned to the wishing woods, the whispering tree welcomed her. The leaves rustled in greeting, and Aurelia placed her hand on its trunk once more. The tree's voice echoed in her mind, gentle and wise. "You have found your adventure, young one. But remember, the greatest magic lies within you." With that, Aurelia knew her journey had only just begun. The wishing woods had opened her heart to a world of endless possibilities, and she was ready to embrace them all.